Segment brought to you by Patrick Eads and his staff at Deary Brothers Ford on Mormon Trek. Great service department there. Steve Anderson, Hawkeye Title and Settlement. He's a good lawyer, too. Mike's E-Keys for cars. Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip. GT Carr and his crew at Supple's Building and Remodeling. Supple's Flowers, the home of 1-800-800-ROSE. The Midtown Family Restaurants. Hertine and Stocker Jewelers, 101 South Dubuque Street, downtown Iowa City. Diamond Dreams Sports Academy, Premier Automotive in North Liberty. Dirk Sterner Taxidermy, the Oxyoke Inn and the Amanas. Streets Maintenance, Remodeling, and Plumbing. Dr. Lance Forbes, Diamond Dental in Cedar Rapids, and Big Dog Tech Solutions. Here's Tom Suter and Pat Harty from HawkFanatic.com and Coach Don Patterson.
Well, Coach, good morning to you. I imagine you were able to watch a fair amount of football over the weekend, as many of us were. I guess one of the most interesting games I didn't get a chance to watch, but hopefully you guys did, was Wisconsin and Oregon in a heck of a game that Oregon pulled out in the fourth quarter, winning by 3. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was able to see the Oregon-Wisconsin game, and it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. We've talked about this before. When you go on the road, if you encourage the home team, you're going to get an inspired effort out of the opponent, and you're going to get an inspired effort out of the fans that are in the stadium. You certainly saw that in Camp Randall. Oregon, it was an interesting game because Oregon allowed Wisconsin to hang around, of course, throughout the game. Matter of fact, Wisconsin had the lead, of course, in the second half. But the biggest problem Oregon ran into, they were not very efficient in the red zone. They were down there 5 times. Only had 2 field goals and a touchdown to show for it. So that's a concern. That's something they got to be focused on going forward. They got to be more efficient in the red zone. Because you should know by now you're going to get everyone's best shot. If you're ranked anywhere in the top 5, you can bet that the other team is going to, even if they've had a disappointing season, they feel that they can get well with one win that's entirely unexpected, such as the one opportunity that Wisconsin had against Oregon.
Well, Don, good morning. And I wanted to ask you, before we talk about Iowa and Maryland and Brendan Sullivan being out and all that other stuff, did you watch the Iowa State game? Because I watched most of it, and I was stunned. The first half, it was sort of, I'm not knocking Iowa, but Iowa State's play calling was sort of like Iowa, very conservative. Second half, they just unleashed it, and it was incredible. Did you happen to watch any of the game?
You know, I just saw a little bit of it. I was working a game in the Missouri Valley.
That's right.
Matter of fact, it was Mark Farley's first game since he announced his retirement. And it was a great game to call because it was an overtime game that was won only at the last minute, of course. 60 minutes didn't get it now. We needed an extra few minutes. So, but I did see some of that game. And you're right. This time of the year, you better be ready to play because those teams that are having a disappointing season, they still think that they can provide a memorable moment for their fans with a big upset over anyone that's ranked ahead of them.
And that's it was amazing, though, how Iowa State just kind of made this transformation at halftime. And Cincinnati wasn't a horrible team. They were 5-4. But, yeah, and when I watched that Wisconsin game, so often when I was watching Wisconsin, it sort of reminded me of Iowa. Fighting and just scrapping and doing whatever it could, but just ultimately not having enough again. Now, recently, Iowa hasn't given that good of a showing against elite opponents like Oregon. But to me, Don, after watching that, I still don't think there's a great team in the country this year. I think a team with 3 losses could beat Oregon. If a team with 3 losses gets in the playoffs, it wouldn't surprise me if a team like that. What do you think? Do you think there's a team that just stands above all others like some of those Alabama teams and Georgia teams have? Because I don't see it.
No.
Well, you know, you certainly see that, of course, with the 1AA playoffs, with the FCS playoffs nowadays. you see teams that get out. A prime example would be a team in the Missouri Valley that maybe has had a couple of regular season losses. As you know, a very difficult conference schedule. It's hard to get through. I've always said this: if you qualify for the playoffs in FCS football and you played in the Missouri Valley, you have a chance to win the whole thing, because some of the very best teams in the country are in your own conference. And even if you lost to them in the regular season, you certainly can make a playoff run and, of course, maybe beat that same team that beat you by playing on a neutral field in the championship game itself.
So that would be a similar type situation, because I think an SEC team with 3 losses might get in. I mean,
yeah, that's
possibly.
a good example. And a Big Ten team could be in the same category. Would it be hard for you to imagine that Penn State doesn't have a shot, and so does Ohio State? And
they're going to buy.
It's far-fetched to assume that Indiana's going to make a run for the national title. But I guess crazy things have happened.
Oh, sure. And there's a chance.
I mean, 4 of the top 5 teams are Big Ten.
Yeah,
so
Penn State and Ohio State are both probably going to be 11-1.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to be. Now, all right, let's go to Iowa. Obviously, the talk. It's funny. It's on message boards, and Tom said CBS Sports had something. And right before we're getting ready to come on the air, I get a text message from him. You know, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's part of the establishment or whatever over there. It says that Brendan is. I mean, they have 2 weeks left of the season. He's out for the next 2 weeks at least because of the ankle injury, which I've been saying all along. I still think Cade McNamara is going to start at Maryland, whether he finishes the game. So, Don, that's what it looks like. Cade's going to be starting, I assume, because the last report we got on Cade from Tim Lester was that he was lifting weights on Monday, and that was a week ago. So that's a good sign. If you were not cleared from concussion protocol, I don't think you'd be lifting weights, would you?
Right, you're correct.
Okay, so it looks like Cade. So your thoughts?
I did see Sully on Wednesday when I dropped off the analytics, and I got the impression then. I'm glad to know that it's been officially announced that he's out.
No, it is not. Don, no, it has not been officially. That's the problem when it's just all over. And CBS Sports is saying, nothing's official. A source just told me, and then it's out there. So it's unofficially out there all over the place.
Yeah, I do have a serious doubt that he's going to play.
Okay.
I don't.
His foot's in a boot.
Stranger things have happened. I think we'd be lucky to get him back for Nebraska even.
Yeah, his foot's in a boot.
Yeah. So, and here's the truth.
Or was.
If you're a mobile quarterback and you lose your mobility,
exactly,
then you're clearly not the same quarterback.
Yeah. No.
And I think if he was playing, he'd be playing in a restrictive position. He wouldn't be able to run like he normally does.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah. So the more I thought about it, the one good thing, if we have one available and not the other, at least we avoid that controversy of who should be out there playing.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing critical is one of them is ready to go. And I'd be very surprised if Cade is not ready to go. I'm excited about that for Cade. It's a chance, for him to make a difference in our season here toward the end when he hadn't had a chance to do that lately. And for that matter, Jackson Stratton, we haven't really talked about it, but he gave a very good account of himself with how he played. And if he has to be our number 2, it wouldn't shock me at all if he comes in and does a good job all over again. I thought he played okay, especially considering he'd never been out there in a Big Ten game.
Especially since he had been playing linebacker.
Yeah, did you guys imagine that in week 13 of the football season we'd be talking about Jackson Stratton as the possible Iowa quarterback?
Well, I bet you there's some fans out there that would prefer him over Cade.
Yes, absolutely.
I guarantee there are, just because they've seen so much of Cade and nothing really has changed. But you're right, Don. Cade has 2 games left, assuming he's healthy, and we'll learn a lot more tomorrow. My guess is Kurt's going to come out tomorrow and say that Brendan's ankle, blah blah blah. He's not going to play Saturday. But you could always leave. He doesn't necessarily have to say that he's not going to play against Nebraska. You don't have to shed that much light, do you? Unless it's unless he's going to come out and say it's, he's got a severe sprain, he's out for the blah blah blah. It could be that. But with Cade, I mean, this is a great opportunity for him. I don't want to say right the ship. You know what I mean? Just to kind of show that this wasn't just a complete bust getting him from the portal. I mean, don't you look at this? That's how he's got to look at this, isn't it, Don?
Absolutely. And let's not forget, too, he was elected as one of our captains.
Exactly.
So there's that leadership component, too. I think he certainly has a chance to give us a shot in the arm, so to speak, on offense. He's rested. He's healthy again. For what I know, of course, there's no issues at all with the concussion back in time. It's been quite a while since he played.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about if Brendan is in fact out. He doesn't have to worry about whether or not he's going to be out of the game, because we'll clearly give him every opportunity to lead us to another win. And I like his chances of doing that. It's only because he is a veteran quarterback. He's healthy again, and he has something to prove. You know, he has a purpose. He wants to finish this season in a great way, just as all the other seniors want to finish it in a very positive direction.
Well, and he's also, I'm no knock, but the team they're playing Saturday's not great. Maryland's defense, I've watched it at times. At times it looks okay. Other times it looks like a sieve. And then, of course, the big storyline is Kirk facing Brian. It's going to be interesting tomorrow. My guess is Kirk will address it tomorrow. But I don't think it'll be interesting, like if it's asked, the question about Brian is asked like 4 or 5 different ways by members of the media. I think at some point they may say enough. I mean, if you're Kirk tomorrow, what do you come out? How do you handle that, Don? Do you make a statement just saying blah, 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 and then let's move on? Or do you just let the questions come as they come?
Well, I would be tempted to say let's not make this all about Brian and I. Mm-hmm. This game has always been about the players. That's one of the things I admire about Kirk. He had the same philosophy that I always had about the game. It's all about the players. It's not about the coaches. And let's talk about the players and what they've done and what they're in the process of doing, what their goals still are, all those kind of things. Those are a lot of good storylines. And let's face it, the coaches only get to watch the game. The players have to execute on the field. And the obligation the coaches have, of course, is try to make all the right calls at all the right times. But as I always used to remind our players, there are no magic calls. They all require execution. Mm-hmm. So go on the field with the mindset, I'm going to make it work regardless of what gets called. I'm going to find a way to make all the plays good calls, effective calls.
So do you think it will be a distraction?
Not much of one, no.
Okay.
Maybe up until game time, but once the game gets rolling, the focus on the part of the players, of course, is simply be on the opposition and on the calls that are being made from one play to the next. They're just playing a game that they all dearly love on both sides of the field. And at that point, it's not about the people on the sidelines nearly so much as it is the ones that are out there in the game. I'm
curious, in all your coaching, did you ever have like a really awkward situation where you were coaching against somebody you really knew well who you had been aligned with before? Is there one or two that stand out?
Oh, gosh, I'm sure they're out there, but I'm trying to think of something that come to mind. Off the top of my head, I really can't think of any.
Because I think of some, like Dan McCarney coaching against Iowa for the first time. Wasn't that weird, Tom?
Sure was.
It
from
was
a
so
fan
bizarre.
Perspective, you bet.
It was so bizarre, and it was easy to cope with at first for Iowa fans because Iowa pounded him early. But when he started beating Iowa, it was not. It was a weird. It was weird.
Yeah, it was.
It was weird looking out and seeing Bernie Wyatt and those guys in Wisconsin attire on the sidelines back in the early '90s. That was strange.
Yeah, I was trying to flash back on how I felt at the time when we were going against either Iowa State or Wisconsin back in those years. Same comment, really, all about the game. You don't really think much about. You're aware, of course, of what they know about you.
Sure.
Maybe that affects your planning a little bit. But the bottom line, you're looking at the tape. You're trying to find a way to attack the opponent as best you can, and you sometimes kind of lose sight of the fact that you know the other people well on a personal basis. But yet at that moment, of course, you're just judging them for how they're asking their team to play and how to best counter that.
Well, it's also life, I mean, Dan McCarney, I was told, hated Iowa State more than anybody until they hired him, until they gave, and then I get it. You evolve.
That's the profession.
But I was told that Dan McCarney was the greatest motivator before the Cyclone game when he was an Iowa assistant coach because he just had that way about him. He grew up a Hawkeye fan. You remember those days, Don?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Dan's born and raised in the state of Iowa, and obviously when he's playing for Iowa or coaching for Iowa, then the people in Ames aren't very well liked.
Nice way
Maybe
to put
even
it.
hated in some people's eyes.
Yeah.
But truthfully, and I know certainly Kirk and Matt Campbell have that relationship now. Of course, they're competing on game day, but they have great respect
That's
for
what
each
it seems
other.
like. Yeah.
And truthfully, get along just fine in any and all settings.
Tom?
Well, Coach, we're in week 13 of the NCAA football season. Fully half of the Big Ten has qualified for bowls, but that leaves 9 people that haven't. Okay, which includes Michigan, Wisconsin, USC, UCLA, Nebraska, Michigan State, Northwestern, and Maryland.
Is Michigan 5-5?
They are.
They're going to lose to Ohio State more than likely.
Michigan has to win.
They might go 5-7. Who do they play?
Well, yes, I do have that.
Michigan might go 5-7. I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State.
I would be very surprised. Although with that series, you really never.
Man, Don,
Northwestern at Michigan.
Okay, they're going to go 6-6. All right.
So
Yeah,
Maryland.
I'm almost certain that Michigan has to go to the shoe.
Yeah, they're not going to beat Ohio State. I just don't see it. They just don't have an offense this year. Michigan has.
I agree with him. They're a one-dimensional offense,
Yep.
and you can't win against a good opponent.
Okay, so then Iowa's situation is this weekend we play Maryland, who is 4-6. If they lose to Iowa, they are not going to go bowling.
And
this
then
year.
who is their last game against?
But I don't know. But they'll have 7 losses.
I thought you had a master schedule there.
I believe I'm trying to think. Maybe Michigan State. I think someone like that.
Okay.
Someone they have an outside chance.
So they have 2 winnable games. They're looking
maybe.
at the fact they have 2
Sure.
winnable games. I'm sure Maryland's looking at this as a winnable game.
Yes, and they have to win it.
Yeah, but I don't think they will. I don't know why. I think Iowa's going to win.
Well, we talked early season about this. Maryland's history is they don't play very well toward the end of the season.
Yeah.
And you see a little bit of that now. Maybe they've lost their last 3.
Yeah.
They're 1-6 in the conference. But let's not forget, that was a win over a fairly talented team called Southern Cal.
Yeah.
So they're still dangerous. Even in the game last week, they're still dangerous. Rutgers plays a little bit like Iowa traditionally plays.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, they do not beat themselves. And that happened again last week when Rutgers beat Maryland by 31-17. Rutgers didn't make many mistakes. Maryland made more mistakes. Maryland also outgained them considerably. Maryland outgained Rutgers 457-370.
That's Maryland, though. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They tend to mess up in other areas such as turnover margin.
Yep.
Now, I think Rutgers is only +1, but even +1 helps. And here's another way that they definitely messed up. Not very good in the red zone. As you know, in recent years, we've been very good in the red zone, and I know you would say, well, what about our last game and the one before? Were we good in the red zone then? It's been up and down, as you know. It's been maddening to go from an impressive win one weekend to a disappointing loss the next, and that's what we've done a couple of times this season.
Yeah, this team's just been inconsistent. That's the word I would use.
Most teams have been.
Yeah, most teams in the Big Ten have been inconsistent. Iowa's got problems at quarterback. Don, my biggest concern, and I bet you Tom will agree with me too. I agree with you all what you said about Cade, opportunity, leadership, and his inability to move, I think is an issue. I mean, he doesn't have any mobility left and he's 6 foot tall, barely 6'1", and to me that's an issue. And I think teams are going to try to force him to scramble out of the pocket. So what does Iowa do to compensate for that? What do they quicker routes, shorter passes? Is that what do you expect to see that?
Well, I do think that we need to keep them off balance on early downs. I fully expect that Tim will do that. Most offenses are at their best when you don't honestly know if it's run or pass.
Yes.
The typical example, of course, would be first down.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think we'll have a good blend of running pass on early downs, try to keep them off balance. If we can run the ball down their throat, obviously that's a simple solution to winning the game.
And you got to try that first. Yeah,
we'll give that a try. We're certainly going to try to establish our running game because that's so much a part of who we are. I would say this. I think one thing that's critical, we need to start fast. It's a little bit like going to Michigan State. Do not give them a lot of encouragement. because at that point you will get a strong effort out of both the opposing team and the fans. We don't need that. Let's start off fast, play with a lead, and be able to maintain that lead by playing the usually really sound defense that we typically play.
Yeah, and I how much of the Brian Ferentz factor do you think will motivate the Maryland players, or do you think they? I'm asking you, Tom. What do you think? Do you think the Maryland care? Do you think they care really even much? Or
at this point, I think they need to find a way to win because they
may use Brian Ferentz as a way to get motivated. Or
no, I don't think Brian. I don't know.
I think it's just a big story. I don't know how big of a story it is. I think it's a bigger story out here.
Exactly.
Don't you agree, Don?
Yeah.
I would be inclined to agree with you. I don't think the Maryland players, I don't think it's going to mean the world to them that they win the game for Brian. I doubt that they have that kind of relationship simply because Brian hadn't been there that long.
Yes. Yeah.
And let's face it, nowadays with NIL and transfer portal, I think the players are not quite so united in winning one for any coach.
No, you're right.
And fair enough.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, you're right about that. So it's going to come down to execution, and that's why I think Iowa's going to win, Don, because when I watch Maryland, I'll watch them, and there'll be one series on offense where I'm like, God, look at that. Look at the run, passing, the athleticism. Then the next series on offense, they may go 3 and out or commit a throw, the worst decision-making interception. They're just so erratic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't really played mistake-proof football, not at all. They've made mistakes here and there. Typically, they're more penalized than we are. They could come into play. As you know, we are one of the least penalized teams in college football. All a testament to our players and coaches, for knowing how to play the game within the rules and maintaining your poise and, not getting the silly fouls that some teams do get over the course of a game.
So do you assume they're going to load the box, Maryland, right away and say, okay, hey, try to throw on us because you're not going to run? Is that what you...
Probably so. That makes a lot of sense, of course. You've always heard me say, try to make people beat you left-handed. Try to force them into playing the way they don't want to play. And obviously, whatever steps they need to take away our running game or to slow us down a lot with the run, that's what they need to do because in that sense, they're forcing us to play a little bit left-handed. We'd rather have a higher percentage of run than pass.
One of the games that I'm very interested in this coming weekend is 5-5 Wisconsin at 5-5 Nebraska. Two teams that have to be tremendously disappointed in their seasons at this point.
Like Iowa.
Well, yeah.
Kind of like in Iowa's position.
Yeah, they're taking a really drastic step, as you probably heard. Dana Helgerson is there now. Hard to give a boost to the offense. Always had a reputation for being a really good offensive mind. But pretty incredible to think. Let me get this straight. This guy just became employed by Nebraska a couple of weeks ago. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
That's correct.
What? Yeah, it appears that way. Here's the one thing I wonder about. Is he a full-time coach at this point? Is he strictly an analyst, as we say? There are rules in place that say you're only allowed 10 full-time assistants, and those are the 10 guys that are supposed to be doing all the coaching, other than the head coach.
But then they
fired. He's the OC.
But yeah, they fired the offensive coordinator and hired him.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. So the old OC is out.
He's out from what I
heard. Nothing to do with the game this week.
Yeah,
and Phil Longo's out too at Wisconsin.
Yeah, Phil Longo's got let go at Wisconsin.
Wow. So you've got both coordinators that are playing against each other, and they were both new on the job just a couple of weeks ago. Is that what we're saying? Who's the new OC then for Wisconsin?
Is the Wisconsin one official? I mean,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. The last I saw it was being reported, but I don't know who the new coordinator. If there's somebody that is kept from within.
Somebody that's elevated probably.
Yeah, because I was watching. I was watching the Chicago Bears because they fired their offensive coordinator. God, you see how they lost yesterday, man? Man, it's tough being a Bears fan, Don. It really is. I mean, Torrey continues to do a great job, but my God, they just are jinxed against the Packers. But what do you think of these in-season?
Game, and honest to God, they went something like 25 possessions without a touchdown.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's just depressing. I don't know why I brought it up, but I was going to ask you about these in-season firings. But Iowa did one last year, and most people didn't have a problem with it. Are you concerned though, Don, that we're seeing a lot more in-season firings of coaches? Do you think is that a disturbing trend in your eyes, or what?
I would say so. Yeah, that seems to be an extreme thing to do. Certainly an extreme thing to do. Sometimes you read about the play calling duties being reassigned to a different coach on offense or defense. That's not such an abrupt measure, of course, because that's the same coach that's been there the entire season, and the coach is simply. I was actually part of that at one time when we were at UConn in year one. Coach Diaco said, I want you to call the game this weekend rather than the guy that called it the previous game. Of course, play calling is always a collective effort anyway. It's not as if the final decision maker is not talking to another coach on that side of the ball and gets input from him before making that decision of what to call.
Okay.
I'm just going to mention about the Nebraska game. Nebraska is very chaotic at the moment with Huggins and Howard. They're still not bowl eligible, as you mentioned.
Yep.
A disappointing way to play last weekend. That didn't go well for them. It certainly might have, but mostly they had struggles on offense.
Hey, I want to, speaking of Nebraska, Dallas Jones, he works.
Yeah.
He's got a younger brother. Well, his other younger brother is a freshman at Nebraska right now. He's a freshman strong safety on scholarship. He was an all-state player last year in Omaha. He's got another younger brother who's a junior at Omaha North High School. Don, I'm sure you're familiar with it. I'm sure you guys recruited out of there. His brother is a 6'1", 175-pound junior cornerback, wide receiver, return specialist. Listen to what he's done so far this year in high school football in Omaha, good at the highest level. 44 catches, 759 yards, 11 touchdowns. 2 punt returns for touchdowns, 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, 8 interceptions, lead state, 1 pick six, 30 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. And Dallas said the best thing about him, he is a huge Hawkeye fan, and he showed me a picture of his bedroom, and it's got Hawkeye attire everywhere. He's actually going to be in on a visit during the Nebraska week, so it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, Dallas Jones, he works for Hawk Fanatic for me. That sounds like a pretty intriguing prospect, doesn't it, Don?
Well, it sounds a little bit like Tim Dwight when he was in high school.
Yeah, well, numbers-wise, he's a little taller than Timmy, but he's got a knack for the end zone because look at all the different ways he's – and to make 8 interceptions, I don't care what level you're at. That shows you have a lot.
That's a lot.
And he's 6'1", because Dallas is about 6'3", and his brother, who's a strong safety at Nebraska, is about 6 foot, 200. This kid's a little – he's not as thick, I don't think, but he's a huge Hawkeye fan, whereas the other brother was a Nebraska fan. So and Dallas at first was saying, "Oh, why isn't Iowa recruiting him?" I'm like, trust me, they don't leave any stone. It's early still. This was early in his junior year, but now LeVar's in contact. They're having him in. Iowa, they'll be there. If he's good enough, he'll get a scholarship. And it sounds like he's obviously good enough.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to have a lot of different options, and it's nice to know that maybe his favorite choice at this particular moment happens to be Iowa.
Well, Dallas told me if he gets offered, he thinks – I'm like, well, what if the big guys come in? Because there's a chance – Dallas has been told that he's in the running for the Nebraska Player of the Year. He's already got an offer. His first offer was from South Dakota State, and they're really good now, right? Yes, and that's usually when the offers start. Then come the Power 5 offers. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Tom, did you have something you were?
No, I was. As soon as we're done with this thread, just wondering about Don, your thoughts of Indiana at Ohio State this weekend.
Oh, that's right.
Compelling.
I believe they play that in the shoe. I think, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a bigger stage than any Indiana player's ever seen because they've never been on the road playing an opponent that's so highly regarded in a game that matters so much.
A 10-0
game, of course. The winner is pretty safe to say is probably going to be in Indianapolis, right? Hard to imagine they wouldn't be.
Well, against Oregon?
Ohio State technically could lose to Michigan, and if they lose to Indiana, then
the winner, of course, has a really good chance of I mean, well, Indiana, if they win, they're in because they're not going to lose to Purdue.
No.
Indiana would be 12-0. What do you think their head coach is saying about the game? And do you think he said, we're going into an old, overrated stadium, we're going to kick their ass? Do you think that's what the Indiana coach is saying?
This would be one week I would advise him probably speak softly to a big stage.
I would agree, and I think he's smart. I'll tell you what, we joke about him, but he has done an incredible job. And, Don, does this show that it can be done quickly like this, or is this kind of a fluke? All these pieces just kind of fell together in your eyes. What do you think?
Well, truthfully, it's easier for him to do it now than it would have been 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. And that's simply because of the transfer rule.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
The old rule, you might wonder, aren't there other FCS coaches that would have done a good job if they'd had a chance on a big stage?
No, you're right.
But the rules have changed, of course, because some of the players that have made a difference are players that came with him from James Madison.
Yeah.
A lot of people might be surprised to hear that, but some of the guys playing a key role for Indiana were playing FCS football last year.
That defensive end, is it Kamara?
Or whatever.
Kamara is tremendous.
That defensive end is good. It is amazing. It shows you, though, that recruiting is not an exact science. Some guys do get under-recruited, underrated, and kind of lost in it all, and it's incredible. I mean, it really is. But I still think Ohio State's going to win, don't you guys?
Yes, I do.
What do you think, Don?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Ohio State will beat them. Let's not forget, Indiana still, one of the knocks against Indiana when they were running all those wins together is they really had played up through the middle of the season a pretty soft schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they had won and looked good doing it, don't get me wrong, but they still hadn't really faced a severe test until here toward the end of the year.
So, Don, are you surprised that Michigan has taken this drastic of a fall? I mean, to go from national champion to 5-5, and did you see this coming? Obviously, they have serious problems at quarterback.
Well, they had, of course, a lot of graduation losses. I don't know that they lost anybody to transfer. Of course, to play for Michigan is seen as a privilege, just like to play for Iowa is seen as a privilege by our players.
Mm-hmm.
So I doubt that they lost many to transfer, but they did lose a lot to graduation.
They did.
And expired eligibility. Maybe a few guys maybe came out early. After all, to win the national title, there's a lot of incentive that's lost for the next year because it's probably an unrealistic goal to think you're going to win it again next year. I'm not shocked with the change. I think there were some other good coaches that left other than one named Harbaugh. I guess I don't know the particulars about staff.
Right.
But I do know, of course, that Don Martindale's new, the defensive coordinator, who is a good coach. He had a lot of success, of course, in the NFL. Coached for me back in year one at Western Illinois.
Why do they call him Wink? Is that
because old game show host?
I know. Is it after the old game show host?
Yeah, they call him Wink after the old game show host. Yeah.
What do you think of that, Captain?
Well, he knows football, that's for sure.
He does.
The defense has played just fine this year, especially when you factor in that they had pretty significant losses on that side.
Well, I think Will Johnson's been out too, the cornerback. I think
the problems, of course, all been on offense, and it's just hard to win if you're weak on either side of the ball.
See, I think it was assumed maybe that Michigan was back to that point. Remember from the 60s, 70s, 80s, where every year they won at least 9 games, and then they had that stretch where they Lloyd retired, and then you had Brady Hoke, and who was the other one? Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah.
One year Michigan went 3-9, but there's a good chance they could go 6-6 at best this year. So it'll be interesting. But I'm just surprised Michigan could go and not have a better quarterback, not have somebody waiting to replace J.J. McCarthy. But Harbaugh also knows when to leave, right? Too, doesn't he, Don?
Yeah, absolutely. And they won again last night. Of course, he went to another good place.
He did.
The Chargers are good, and Herbert, I think, is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And as you know, they dodged a bullet last night too.
Did you watch that?
I did see the end of the game, yeah. And I did hear the announcer comment that Harbaugh publicly stated, "I don't ever want to have another quarterback in my coaching career than Herbert. That's how good he is."
I'll tell you, he threw some balls last night that were incredible, just lasers over the outstretched hands of linebackers, in between a safety. It was incredible watching both those quarterbacks. I know Cincinnati's struggling, but Burrow leads the NFL in passing yards. So there was two really good pro-style quarterbacks, and there's still a place for pros. I mean, you need to be able to manipulate the pocket. But Don, there's still a place for a good pro-style quarterback who can run a little bit if you have accuracy. Because I still think that's the most important thing for a quarterback is accuracy.
You're right. Well, you're right. Accuracy, and then time on target. Also, you got to get the ball out.
Yes.
And get it to the receiver, more or less at the best time.
Yeah.
Because if you're a little late on your throw, then you better hold on to your hat because they're either going to break it up or they're going to take it away from you.
Yep. Well, Tim Lester said accuracy was number one, just what you said, number two. And then number three, the icing on the cake was, oh, God, if they can move too, yes, that is great. And if it's but you don't want to have a dual-threat quarterback who can't throw because that.
You're right. At the end of the game, I only saw the end of the game, but what a great example of good performance under pressure. I'm talking about Herbert putting the ball. You couldn't throw it any more accurately than when he was throwing it sometimes. And a couple of them were dropped late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't have been much more catchable. He put it right to them, and they simply dropped it.
Yeah, it was interesting because Cincinnati's defense was just getting shredded. But then they showed one of the veteran players on the sideline just getting on the guy saying, I'm fed up with this. And their defense played a lot better in the side. It's always neat seeing professional athletes, rising to the occasion. No, it was a fun game to watch. I didn't have really – Geno Stone starts in the secondary for the Bengals. And, God, Geno's been in the league now for a long time. I think this might be
5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years. Yeah. Very impressive. And so, yeah, it was an interesting game. So, okay, back to Saturday's game. It's Iowa. I think is going to come out. They're going to want Cade is at his best with play action. You can't have play action,
right.
Of course. They're going to come out and try to establish the run, aren't they? Plus, I think they need to get Caleb going again. I mean, Caleb's sort of been lost in the shuffle now. They've been gone for a week. He only had 49. They need to get him going again. So, do you think that's the plan? Let's get these guys. Let's push them back, and then we'll mix in Cade with play action.
Now, can you tell me this? What's our kick time? Do we know that?
It's 11 o'clock, noon Eastern time.
11, early, good.
Yes.
I'd rather be early or late.
Yes.
And I say that because I'm just trying to keep the crowd out of the game as best possible. So I like the early kick. A lot of people won't bother to want to get up and go to the game maybe on a early. I say early, of course, that's 12 noon their time, I guess.
Yeah. And I don't think the crowd's going to be – I mean, Tom, you've been there. And do you think there'll be a lot of Iowa fans there?
No, not really.
Okay, you think there'll be 15,000 Iowa fans there?
No.
10?
No.
5?
Yes.
Okay, 5. And Maryland, I think it'll be a similar situation as the UCLA game atmosphere-wise. I don't think it's going to be packed with Maryland fans. Do you? I don't.
They draw okay.
They draw okay, but now they're struggling. So I don't think it's going to be a hostile environment, at least that much.
I agree with that. I can't imagine they're going to have a great home field advantage. If they do, it's because we've contributed to it.
Yes.
As I mentioned, we got to come out and play well early on and have a lead, and then people will lose interest or be sitting on their hands. Maybe it's a wet, rainy day. Cool day. Maybe they're just trying to stay warm and stay dry.
Well, my memory of the Maryland game when we were out there was just great because Iowa just went out and thrashed them. I think we won 55.
I remember that game.
I mean, it was just never a contest. The woman sitting behind us was a Maryland fan, and she just said, "This must be like Christmas for you guys." And yes, it was. And I hope we see it again.
Could you see Iowa just going in there and just steamrolling them, Don?
I think it's entirely possible, and I say that just simply because our guys are frustrated.
Mm-hmm. And I do think Iowa's the better team.
Not to mention they've had to wait a week to. When you play a game that is a disappointing outcome, you can't wait to get back out there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go back out there as quickly as you can. Our guys have had to wait not 1 week but 2, and I think they are anxious to play and anxious to finish this season on a great note. Let's face it, 8-4 is a lot different than 6-6.
Without you, great point.
We have 8-4 in our sights, 8-4 with the chance. And I'm sure Kirk would say, We're not even worried about 8-4. We just want to be 7-4.
There you go. Yep, that's exactly what he'll
one at a
say.
time.
Yep.
And the Hawkeyes are
Five? Is it 5.5?
Wait, I'm looking at this here. Is this right that Maryland is favored? That can't.
I thought Iowa was favored by 5, but God, I couldn't.
They have
think.
Maryland at minus 4.5, and
Well, you get 3 for hosting. So God, that surprises me.
boy, that surprises me a lot.
But Don, I wanted to. Last week, Phil Parker was asked about Brian being at Maryland. What kind of advantage that might give Maryland? Because let's face it, Brian's been coaching against Phil in practice every day for over a decade. Phil downplayed it, saying, some of it changes, the names, the some of the stuff has changed, but he also made it sound like a lot of it just comes down to whether you're going to execute or not. We don't really surprise that many people with what we do on defense anyway. How much of an edge does that give Maryland having Brian there to give them stuff about Iowa's defense?
Not much. I think a little bit, but not much. And I think Phil's right. The bottom line is that we have a style of play that we try to go with. We try to play to our strengths on defense. Simple example: we hate to expose our corners one-on-one and play man. We'd rather play zone, keep our eyes toward the ball. Everybody in the Big Ten knows that. So it's kind of hard to imagine that we're going to radically change our plan of attack on defense. One of the things that hurt us against UCLA was leverage on the ball. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you that's been emphasized with the off week, because one of the things we've done well is contain the football. If you're supposed to have outside leverage, have outside leverage. Know where your help is. Mm-hmm. And your job, of course, to be sure if you don't get the guy on the ground, at the very least you turn him back toward your help. And we lost leverage a few times against UCLA, and it really cost us.
Yeah, and what do you think Maryland's approach defensively is going to be? You do think they will load the box? Do you think they're going to dare McNamara to throw? Or do you think they're going to blitz? Do you think they'll try to blitz? Do you think they'll try to do things to disrupt McNamara in the pocket, assuming he's playing quarterback?
I would expect that. I don't know that much about the play caller on defense, but logically, I would assume athletically they feel like their DBs match up fairly well against our wideouts. And they also know you better try to make Iowa do something other than run the ball down your throat. So one way or the other, you got to defend the run. You got to slow Iowa down in the running game. Otherwise, you won't see the ball very much, and Iowa will always be ahead of the chains. And you don't want either one of those things to happen, because then the play action becomes more effective, because it's second and short or second and medium. You don't want pads. You want second and long. And then you have a better idea, of course, of what you're going to get next.
No, the line is Iowa 6.5.
That's what I had heard.
I don't know what the heck I just saw.
Yeah, I had heard Iowa 6.5 or 5.5.
Yes.
That sounds more.
It does.
Like it. Plus, you get 3 to host, so the odds makers have Iowa winning pretty convincing. That's a pretty decent spread for a team that's 6-4. What do you think, Don?
Yeah, I think so. But I know one thing. When you mentioned that Maryland might be favored to win the game, there's an old expression, bet the farm. I was tempted to say bet the farm. If you're going to give me points to take Iowa, sure, I'll make that bet, because I had a lot of faith in those guys that are playing and coaching for Iowa.
Now, I will say, I've watched Maryland's quarterback. He can be good.
He sure can.
He can be really good at times. The stuff around him is chaotic. Sometimes he adds to the chaos. But you've watched him. His name's Billy Edwards. I assume he's healthy. I haven't really started looking at Maryland closely until today. But you've seen him, Don. He's an effective quarterback at times.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's had some good games. I don't know where he stands statistically, but I would imagine his pass efficiency probably in the top half of the league, I would think. Their problem has not been putting up yards. They outgained their opponent last weekend, but outgained them by 87 yards. Yeah, 87 yards.
Yeah.
457, 370. They're solid with both their run and their pass game. They got a running back that's been pretty effective. And as you've already mentioned, now they're not afraid to throw it. I think they threw it 55 times last week.
No, they will throw it, and yet he can move a little bit too. He can move in the pocket. He can run. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the UCLA quarterback. Can be erratic at times, but when he's on, he's on. And hey, I know I'm going all over, but I wanted to ask you, what'd you think of the Nice win for Brett in Illinois with Minnesota. I mean, those are the kind of games you got to win to get to that 8, 9, 10 win plateau, right? That was a nice win for Illinois.
Yeah, let's see. Let me be sure I'm straight. Illinois 7-3 right
Yes.
now with a chance to be 9-3.
Yes, because I think they're going to beat. I think they're going to beat Northwestern. That would be 8 wins. Now, I'm not saying that's a gimme, but they have a chance to be 9. He has a chance for 9-3.
Now, who do they have this week? Because I'm sure that Northwestern is game 12.
Yeah, do we have who they have this week?
Who?
Illinois.
Yes, we do. At Rutgers.
That's a tough. That's
Well,
gonna be,
you never
Don,
know.
that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, it will be because, as you heard me say before, Rutgers does a good job of not beating themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And Brett would say, well, wait a minute now, we do a good job of not beating ourselves too. And there's some truth to that. It goes back to Brett's Wisconsin days.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to be sure we don't have as many mistakes as the other team. And obviously, if Illinois does a good job protecting the ball, you have a good outcome like they had last weekend. What's that score again? Let me see. Yeah, 38-16.
That's
Illinois was at home for that game. Are they at home with Rutgers, or do they have
no,
to
it's
go
at
to
Rutgers. At Rutgers.
At Rutgers, yeah.
At Rutgers. Well, that could be a problem. Of course, in general, when you travel, it's a little bit tougher. But it was an impressive game a week ago. They didn't make many mistakes. I'm looking at the stats. They claimed Michigan State's clock in terms of parameters. Here's one for you. The top 15 parameters, Michigan State won exactly one of them. So it was a one-sided performance. It was not a fluke win. Sometimes the ball takes crazy hops. Sometimes you're just clearly outplayed. Michigan State was clearly outplayed in Champaign.
You mean Minnesota? Wasn't it Minnesota they played? Or did they play Michigan?
No, last weekend was Michigan State.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason they played Minnesota. Who did Minnesota play last week?
I think they were off.
Oh, they were okay.
Yeah.
My bad. No, no, you're right though. It was impressive the way Illinois dominated both sides. The other thing is when I watched Luke Altmaier play for Illinois, it kind of reminds me, I think, what Iowa fans had envisioned for Cade
Yes,
McNamara.
exactly.
Is that a fair?
Very
as
much
a fan?
so.
And
Very much so.
and he was a good get
I
for
think you're
Illinois.
right. He plays like a veteran quarterback.
Yes.
I remember some of those early season games. He was getting knocked around a lot, but he still kept getting up. Didn't seem to lose his poise. I thought he did a good job of handling adversity as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
All
I
right.
don't even remember who they were playing. It just made an impression on me that he was a solid quarterback that you could count on to do good things.
So, Donnie, here's your stuff on Billy Edwards, Jr., Maryland's quarterback. He averages 27 completions per game.
Think about that from our perspective.
65% passer, which is pretty good, but he's second in yardage with 2,855 yards. He's a couple hundred yards behind Dylan Gabriel, but he's completed more passes in only 10 games than anybody else in the conference.
How many interceptions?
Well, that's yes. It is 15 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. So that's not great.
No, but what do you think of those numbers overall,
But
though?
not bad either.
No.
Ideally, you're 2-1 or better. He's not 2-1 touchdowns versus picks, but not too far from it. 15 versus 9.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for instance, Curtis Rourke has 21 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
I will say,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and in fairness to Billy, Curtis Rourke has things going better around him.
For sure.
Billy Edwards is good. I mean,
Yes,
he is. They're going to have a huge advantage, most likely at quarterback. So Iowa's going to have to compensate for that. It's going to be interesting. But no, when I watch this Luke Altmaier play, he's so impressive. The way he can move a little bit. Now, in fairness to Cade, I'm guessing Luke Altmaier hasn't had season-ending knee surgeries back-to-back like Cade. I don't want to say Cade's damaged goods, but Don, Cade's not what he used to be, and that's an issue. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I do think this, Cade recognizes I'm only guaranteed to play 2 more football games in my college career. We have some, well, I guess we'll have a bowl game regardless, but I hate to think about a bowl game if we're 6-6.
Well,
that would be a downer.
Tom's already got the hotel reservations in Detroit.
Looking at the rest of the conference, 6-6 is going to get some people to a bowl.
Okay, but if I was 6-6, I don't think they'd ever go to Detroit, would they?
No,
Wouldn't
I don't think so.
Yeah, would you go?
No.
The advantage we have is we travel better than the average team, and I realize
Yes.
if we were 6-6, we wouldn't travel like we normally do. But who's going to travel better, us at 6-6 or Nebraska at 6-6?
Well, Nebraska travels pretty
Probably
well too.
Nebraska.
Yeah, they do.
Well, yeah, that's the one example. Yeah.
So, we need to be the best possible bowl team, and that means we need to win out.
Now, I do think like Iowa at 6-6 would travel better than Michigan State and Minnesota at 6-6.
Yes.
And what have you. So,
yes.
How about Wisconsin and Iowa at 6-6? Who travels better?
Wisconsin is kind of a Rose Bowl or nothing mentality, so I think Iowa would travel
that's a
better.
good point. Yeah, so, well, no, they just got to come out and win this game. I think they're going to establish that run early. I think they're going to win the line. I think they're going to win the line of scrimmage on offense. And to me, that's the first step in victory, isn't it, Don?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. And I've always said this, and I don't even know who actually called the plays for Maryland, but I suspect that Loxley does.
He does now. He does now. They changed.
Plays, but I guarantee you Loxley's involved.
Well, no, he does call him now. See, the first 2 games of the year, I believe he wasn't. Brian Ferentz, remember, I came in here and told you guys after watching Maryland's season opener, Brian Ferentz was all over the place on the sideline.
He was.
Everywhere, just right next. But then I watched him about 4 games later. Loxley's got the plays in his hand. He's calling the plays. Brian Ferentz is up in the press box. They switched things around because they were struggling early, and I think that's going to make it easier on Saturday, too. It'd be more awkward if Brian Ferentz was on the sideline yelling and screaming and what have you. But with him up in the press box, which I assume he will be, that will make it even less. If Brian Ferentz was on the sideline Saturday, you know that broadcast, Tom, they'd be showing him every play and Kirk every play. They'd be doing it nonstop. And I think within the press box, hopefully that won't be the case.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I've said historically, I've always felt that Loxley's one of the better play callers in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
He does a good job from the sideline, and he does have a good imagination for football. So we're going to get tested on defense. There's no doubt about it, because Loxley's a better game planner than most head coaches.
No, that's a good point. And, that's what he's been known for, offensive play calling and recruiting. And so, I expect Maryland, and Maryland's, I think they're going to come out and try a bunch of different things. And I think they look at Iowa's defense this year. Yeah, this is a good defense, but they've been susceptible to big plays.
Yeah, I think they'll try to go over top early and often.
I could see that being the case, but I'm with you, Don. I think Iowa's going to be ready. I mean, I was obviously wrong about this team. I picked them to go 10-2. I think we both did, and we were wrong. But I still think there's fight left in this team. And I'd be thinking differently if they were playing Ohio. If their last 2 opponents were Ohio State and Oregon, I'd be saying, "Wow, they're going to finish 6-6."
Yes,
This isn't rocket science. I think the opponents have something to do with it, and I do think they're going to beat Nebraska here. I right now I do. Now we'll see what happens at Maryland. Are you pretty confident they're going to win both these games, Don?
Yeah, I feel really good about our opportunities up ahead, primarily because of the character in the locker room. We have a lot of wonderful seniors that know they're only guaranteed 2 more college football games, and they're going to do everything they can to win those 2 so that they can win a 3rd one as well.
No, I'm with you on that. Tom, anything else?
Nope, just let's cross our fingers and hope that the 2 weeks the Hawks have stewed and said we're better than that. We're going to go out and show everybody that what we're made of.
And for the people saying, well, they're not going to have Sullivan, well, he barely played. He didn't play a lot until the last 2 games, so they won a few games without him. So it's
he didn't play very well.
No, and he didn't. I mean, you'd love to have him.
Yes,
you'd love to have him, but you're not. So you just got to make do with it. And I'm with you. I do think this is a chance for Cade to redeem himself a little bit.
Absolutely. And I do think that Cade, you mentioned there are times when he seems like he's a little bit tentative based on previous injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure right now Cade's just saying, I'm just going to move heaven and earth to help my team win this game. And in that regard, you may see a bolder Cade as far as taking the ball and running with it than what you've seen in the past, because the future is now. It's not too much from now. It's now.
All right. Great stuff as usual. I couldn't agree more, Donnie. Thanks again. Hopefully a week from now we're talking about a big Hawkeye win out on the East Coast.
Let's hope so.
Thanks, Donnie.
Yeah, our fans should keep their faith, because character counts for a lot, and we have a great amount of character.
You're right about that. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Take care. Yep. Bye-bye.
Well, okay. Should we, before we muddy the waters?
You exhausted, Captain?
I am spent.
I know. Some of those questions you asked were not fair. I mean, why do you have to always bring hate into our interviews?
Shut up.
Hawkeye hate. For the people listening, we made it through despite Captain's really negative questions.
Very negative.
Negative, hateful questions.
Do you think we can win, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff about not being able to win at the Division III level was not fair.
No, but what is fair is for us to pay a few bills now, and we'll be back and talk about stuff.
From the Harty and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Harty and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
It is going to be cloudy, becoming windy with rain likely today and tonight. And the rain could be heavy with a half inch to an inch possible by the time it all winds down late tonight. Our high today near 60. The wind by about midday will start to pick up 15 to 25, gusting to 35. Tonight, more rain and wind, low of 52. Tomorrow, gradual clearing with a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Temperature now 52.
KCJJ weather brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply, kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
1-800-800-ROSE. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist is the only number you need to know to send flowers anywhere in the country or Canada from anywhere in the country. 1-800-800-ROSE. It's so easy. Just remember one number. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist. 1-800-800-ROSE. Remember.
For a gift that your loved one will treasure for a lifetime, find it at our family-owned jewelry store in Iowa City, Harty and Stalker Jewelers.
We can show you diamond engagement rings, colored stones, fashion jewelry, and watches.
Our jewelers are on site, so we can design jewelry for that special person in your life.
We are Harty and Stalker, serving Iowa City and the surrounding area for 3 generations.
Harty and Stalker Jewelers, downtown Iowa City, and HartyandStalkerJewelers.com. Ask for Willa, Terry, Tim, or Kate. One of us is always there.
Don't wait for an emergency to get a backup for your car keys. Unlike the olden days, car keys have gotten extremely complex. Mike's eKeys for Cars can generate the most technically advanced automotive keys that are on the market today. For spares and lost keys, Mike's eKeys for Cars can produce most conventional transponder, high security, and remote head keys. Mike's eKeys for Cars will keep you on the road. Call 319-330-9185 and schedule an appointment today. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 319-330-9185 today.
Hi, this is Jill Sterner with Sterner Taxidermy in Lone Tree. It's hunting season again, and I'm inviting all of you hunters to follow us on our Facebook page. You can view Dirk's award-winning artistry, his workmanship that he completes with each individual piece. We can be reached at 319-330-1774. Again, 319-330-1774.
Hanging lights is a pain. Dealing with blown bulbs, dangerous installations, and the endless rat's nest of cords, there's gotta be a better way, and now there is. Illuma Lights, permanent outdoor lighting from Big Dog Tech. Illuma Lights provides illumination for every occasion. Holiday lighting, accent lights, security, and of course, lighting for the best season, football season. The Illuma Lights app lets you create your own patterns with color, motion, brightness, and static control over every individual light, or use Big Dog's presets to transform your home or business. The professionally installed track system makes Illuma Lights LEDs virtually disappear until you turn them on. Rated at 50,000 hours, you'll enjoy stress-free convenience for years to come. No more ladders, no more hooks, no more wifey's dirty looks. That's the song you'll be singing all year long with Illuma Lights permanent outdoor lighting from Big Dog Tech. Find out more at BigDogTek.net or call 319-395-0800.
Are you tired of living in a home that doesn't quite meet your needs? Then it's time to call the experts at Streets Maintenance. Their team of skilled professionals specializes in renovations and remodeling, transforming your home into the space you've always dreamed of. From kitchen bath remodels to complete home renovations, no job is too big or too small. Streets Maintenance will work with you every step of the way to ensure your vision becomes a reality. So don't wait any longer. Call Streets Maintenance to schedule your consultation at 400-4483. Let's start building your dream home today.
Looking for the perfect place to host your next private party? Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip offers your guests the ideal setting that seats up to 80 people for special events ranging from retirement parties, birthdays, University of Iowa departmental parties, dinner rehearsals, corporate events, graduations, baby showers, reunions, and fundraisers. Forget the bland, lifeless hotel ballrooms. Tavern Blue offers 4 private party packages featuring delicious foods, amazing drinks, fun entertainment, a large venue, and easy booking. For more information on your next party room, drop by Tavern Blue on the Coralville Strip or contact them on their website, tavernblue.com. Eat, drink, and play at Tavern Blue.
On an athletic team, you need team players, good athletes, superior equipment, and the best coaches available. In real estate, you need to have a good title and settlement team at your disposal. Hi, this is Steve Anderson. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, you need quality title and settlement services. Consider the team at Hawkeye Title. Give us a call at 351-8600. Hawkeye Title and Settlement, the team you love, the people you trust.
Don't let just anyone take care of your smile. At Diamond Dental, you can expect compassion, expertise, and a personalized care plan to protect your teeth for life. With more than 30 years of combined experience, Dr. Forbes and his staff are prepared to tackle even your toughest dental problems, leaving your smile healthy and sparkling. Diamond Dental offers a full range of general and cosmetic dentistry, as well as dental treatment options for snoring and sleep apnea. It's never too early to start thinking about what's best for your smile. Schedule an appointment today by calling 319-390-3703 or visiting the office at 5815 Consul Street Northeast, Suite D1 in Cedar Rapids. You can also visit DiamondDentalPC.com for more information. Dr. Forbes is a proud sponsor of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club and the Inner Circle. Let the Diamond Dental team provide superior care for your entire family.
This is Leah Pasha, and I've been saying, hit a deer, call Premier, for years. But it's time for something new. It's still where you need to go for deer divots and door dings, as well as damaged dashboards. That's what my dad Nathan's driving at and dreams about. Why not say, when your car is dinged, be a deer and call Premier? I think Dad's going to love that. Premier Automotive, North Liberty's premier auto body repair shop.
Be a deer and call Premier Auto Body in North Liberty.
Diamond Dream Sports Academy, 20,000 square foot indoor facility, holds 8 batting cages, space for infield work, space for throwing and pitching and all your arm care needs. Offers private instruction, group lessons, camps and clinics, leagues, memberships. Rentals available at Diamond Dreams is open to the public.
Our top level instructors include former professional, college, and Olympic athletes. Our coaches will help these athletes achieve their full athletic potential, develop a strong work ethic, and a solid base to build. The last thing you want to do is look back and wish you had worked or played harder.
Locally owned and established in 2005, Diamond Dreams is Eastern Iowa's premier training facility. Located at 2905 Stoner Court, North Liberty. Call today and reserve your time. 319-665-2173. 319-665-2173.
When you go to a family restaurant, you want 3 things. 1, a wide selection of breakfast, lunch, and dinner items. 2, you want those selections to be affordable and delicious. And 3, you want to be treated like family. You get all 3 at the Midtown Family Restaurant. Breakfast items available anytime the doors are open. Legendary tenderloins, onion rings, and hot roast beef sandwiches. And special ribeye and shrimp nights. Daily specials at each location. And no matter if you're coming in solo or with a group of 20, you get the same special family treatment. The Midtown Family Restaurants at Court and Scott Streets and at the Walmart Plaza on Highway 1 West. Follow them on Facebook or at midtownfamily.com. The family's waiting for you. GT Carr, owner of Supple's Building and Remodeling, has been offering unmatched service and quality for over 25 years. The trained professionals at Supple's Building and Remodeling will install and guarantee the products used in any job, no matter how big or small. They also stand behind their work and offer no-nonsense, exceptional customer service from design to completion and beyond. Whether it's a simple window replacement or a major house addition, you'll have the confidence that Supple's Building and Remodeling is committed to quality. Visit supples.net or call them today at 319-337-2246.
When someone is kind enough to share their time with us, we better make it worth their while.
They don't want to do people call it the game, right?
Patrick Gades and Terry Adams of Dairy Brothers Ford
Talk about what Here For You means to them.
You don't have to spend a half a day in our dealership to get that good competitive price. We just want to try to deliver that to you up front.
And that makes me feel good, makes me proud.
Because that's what people want. They want a fair, honest deal.
As far as a statement Here For You, we want to not just say it, but live it.
Find out what it means to you at Deary Ford in Iowa City.
Football fans, this is Bill Leixenring of the Oxyoke Inn. We are on your way to or from the game. We're ready to serve you with the same quality food and customer service you've come to trust for over 80 years. The Oxyoke Inn is serving our famous Sunday brunch buffet with lunch, dinner, banquets, and carry-out daily. From our Oxyoke family to yours, we can't wait to see you again soon in the heart of Amana.
The Oxyoke Inn.
The mighty 1630 KCJJ.
We are back.
Are we back,
We're
finally?
back. This is it. This is it.
Kenny Loggins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make no mistake
about it.
Not a good song. I don't know why did I
Oh,
bring
it's
it
a
up.
great
Why
song.
did I bring it up?
It's a wonderful song.
No,
One
it's
of the
not
best.
horrible. Not one of the best ever.
Oh,
well,
God.
but what I loved about it is it was the theme song when for the NCAA basketball tournament for a time. Remember that?
Vaguely.
And I think it might have been when we had our last run 45 years ago.
All right. Our last run to the Sweet 16. I was there. Denver. I remember it well. Remember the game? Remember Joey Range and what was it? Kevin. What was his name? Kevin. I can't remember the forward. Remember they squared up, were ready to go blow to blow. They never did. It didn't escalate to that, but I'll never. That was the part of that game I remember.
Kevin Gamble?
No, I'm talking.
He wasn't on that team?
Well, no, Kevin Gamble was 13 years earlier. It was Joey Range for Iowa going up against somebody whose first name was Kevin, I remember.
Oh, no,
Hello.
And I just can't remember the last name.
Hello. Do you think O'Grady's going to be the next Cesano?
I need more proof. I mean, I'm not ready to go there yet. Drake was just no match inside. They had no inside game. They never doubled for. But no, I'm not ready to go there.
That one girl. That was it.
She's a nice story so far, but no, I'm not ready to go there yet.
I'm with you. But yeah, boy, she sure
I
looked good.
thought Monica, where is it? Her first 2 years, she didn't do much.
No, but she did make All Big Ten first team, 3 times in her 5 years she played?
Yeah, well then, her first 2 years she didn't do so much. Then she came on in her third year.
Yeah, but no, I think that was the circumstances were just perfect last night for Addie to dominate, and she did. I mean, most of her baskets were literally underneath the basket, just
right there.
Right there. I mean, they double team. They'd throw to Stolke. Her defender would come and double team Stolke and leaving it. It seemed like It seemed like Drake was always a step slower, a step off with the defense.
It did, and no, but she did what she had to do, and
they
her
took
shots,
advantage of her size.
Yep, her
She's
shots
6'4".
were right there.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Good game
And then
plan.
against Toledo, they were all small, so.
Yeah.
And Drake isn't real big either.
No, they're not.
So that Drake point guard was good, 40 points.
Katie Dinnebeer.
Yeah, she got 40 points.
That's a nice win for Iowa.
But she was hitting some of those threes.
Well, she also made 17 free throws.
I was hoping Katie Dinnebeer was going to go into the portal and we were going to get her, but we ended up getting Lucy, which is
It's
great.
fine. Yeah,
But,
they're both good in their own way. And Tegan Mulaney is. I told you this summer I thought she was going to be good. She scored 8 points in that decisive second quarter run, and no, she's a good one. She finished with 13, so it was a nice win for Iowa.
It was.
Now the men, they pick our men to come on the 14th.
I think we're
Now,
going to do
that's
better
not
than
very
that.
good.
But
I didn't see that. Who's they?
was that?
Well, when they were talking about where they thought they'd end
Well,
up,
I'm just saying, who's they? Who are you talking about?
whoever picks them.
Well, I mean, anyone.
I mean,
can
was
just-
that
I mean, was
the
it some-
consensus of the?
Yeah, well, that's when I hear some of the guys that come on there, and I heard Dove say that they were picked to end up 14th.
Well,
Yeah, I thought the Big
we'll
Ten
do
only,
better than that.
I thought the Big Ten only picked the top 5. Maybe that. I know the Big Ten women they only picked the top 5, and Iowa was not in that.
No, Iowa wasn't in
I don't
there.
remember. Yeah, I think the middle. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who knows? But yeah,
Who do you
there's.
think's going to be the top for the women? Indiana?
I have no idea.
No, definitely
Oh,
not.
God, USC or
USC, UCLA.
But
Oh, that's right, where Juju is.
Yeah, well, UCLA's ranked 5th, and I think USC's ranked 2nd, aren't they? I think it'll be one of those two easily.
Yes.
Now, the game between Oregon and Wisconsin, do you think Oregon played real well or what?
No, I mean, but stuff like that, no, they found a way to win in a hostile environment against a team that was motivated, but against a team that just wasn't good enough to beat them.
Because I kept wondering, they're doing much better against them, and they didn't do well against us at all.
Those are matchups. You never know.
Stuff like that just happens.
It does.
Yeah.
Oregon didn't play their game particularly.
I mean, Iowa lost to UCLA and beat Washington. Washington pounded UCLA.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
that's true.
You can't do comparative scores ever.
So I guess it just depends on how the team turns out.
On that given day.
Yeah, it does. That's what it is.
And so now, what's with Sullivan? He has a bad leg.
His foot, ankle. I mean,
ankle.
I mean, I know people that were saying that they had their kids in class with them said he's limping around with a foot in a boot. And then I saw a video. I saw somebody had shot a video, and he was in the background, and you could see him wearing a boot. But yeah, it's just. I mean, there's 2 weeks left in the season. I think that's the other thing we got to remember. I think that's part of this, and it's just. And we'll see what Kirk says tomorrow. But nothing is official. I mean, there's nothing official from Iowa yet, and at least I haven't seen anything being released from Iowa. I haven't been checking my phone for the last.
I know.
But my guess is Kirk will address it all tomorrow.
There wasn't anything from Iowa yet.
And if Kirk wants to come out tomorrow and say, well, nothing's official. Well, right now it doesn't look good, but you never say never. He could do that up until 2 hours before kickoff, but it does not look like he's going to play.
Okay. First, I thought maybe he had that concussion, but
no, he didn't. Everything else hurt. I think he was sore from the neck down.
McNamara had a concussion?
Yes, McNamara had a concussion.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Thanks, Karen.
Are you confident that McNamara is going to play well?
No.
I'm not either.
Although, I mean, if our running attack is going well, all he's going to have to do is hand off the football.
Yeah, it might not matter. And I think there's a chance that they could chew this team up on the ground.
And if we have to win with Cade's arm, I haven't seen anything this year that makes me confident that we can do that.
How about his legs?
If he has to run, no.
If I'm Maryland, that's what I want to do. I want to get him out of the pocket.
Well, it's what Donnie always says, make us play left-handed.
But I don't know if Maryland's going to be able to do that and stop the run. I just don't think they're going to be able to do both of those things.
Well, we'll find out.
And maybe I'm giving Iowa too much credit, and maybe I'm not giving Maryland enough, but I've watched Maryland play enough to where they don't really deserve a lot of credit because they're very unpredictable.
Their quarterback is pretty good.
But he's
erratic. He makes mistakes.
He makes mistakes because of the chaos around him. Their offensive line, to me, has been very inconsistent. I've watched it at times where it looks good. I've watched it at other times where the run blocking is not, or where the pass blocking is not very good. This guy will end up running for his life.
Yeah.
But I'm with Don, though. I don't think the Brian Ferentz thing's going to be
no.
And it's probably a nothing story out there. Here, it's going to, like I said, it's going to be brought up tomorrow. But I don't think it's going to be one of these things where Iowa's going to allow us to ask the question 5 different ways.
Well, I hope they don't.
And I don't want to sit through that tomorrow. Sometimes that tends to be the case where there's a subject matter that people want to address, and they end up asking the same question 3 or 4 different ways, and it gets redundant.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that much of a factor. Of course, I don't know for sure, but I don't think that it will.
What if Maryland calls and says, "Hey, Brian Ferentz wants to come on the air for an hour on Wednesday"? Are you having him on?
Sure.
Would you do like weather with him and ask him about Brittany Merlot?
Yeah. Do you like her?
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I would be very sure. I wonder if anyone from the Iowa media has reached out to. I haven't even reached out to try. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'm not going to reach.
Well, it's a no-win situation.
I just don't think they're going to do it. And if somebody gets them, then that. Now it'll be interesting for the guys. I don't know how many people in the Iowa media are going out there. I'm sure there'll be a couple from the newspapers. It'll be interesting if they try to find him on the field or whatever. But I just don't think he's going to do interviews. I don't know what that would accomplish.
It's a no-win situation for Maryland. They're going to want to...
Because they don't care.
No.
And why would they care?
No.
And do you think a lot of Iowa fans still care?
No.
Do you care to hear what Brian Ferentz has to say 10 games into Maryland season?
I could care less. I wish Brian the best of luck after this week. And no, I haven't heard.
You think the TV will mention it a lot?
Yes,
I do too. I think that'll be one of the big. I think
somebody in Maryland will bring it. I mean, I don't think they'll. I think
it'll be
will
asked to
ignore it.
Loxley, but I think the Maryland media. Hey, Mike, obviously the story. And I think it'll be addressed, and he'll answer it, and then I think they'll move on. I don't think Maryland media will dwell on this thing.
No,
I think they just. I think
they'll
it's
bring it up.
I think it's one of those things where they say, "Hey, you got to ask him about Brian," and yeah, but I don't think they're like. Whereas I think here it's more like red meat. If God maybe Kirk will say something, and then I can race and get it on Twitter, and then wow, it's great. I could see
Brian ain't doing any blocking or tackling out there, and that's.
Well, and he ain't doing
matter.
any play calling, and he's he's an offensive advisor. I mean, that's what he is, and hey. I'm sure he's going to be able to help them this week prepare. He knows a lot about Iowa.
Yes, he does. And most advisors are not coveted interviews by the media either, except in a situation like this where it makes a little bit of sense, and it does.
Yes, it does. But like I said, Maryland would be smart to just keep Brian off limits and let Loxley address it. And I don't know if their press conference is today or tomorrow. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm sure it'll be asked to Loxley. It'll be interesting to see what he says. But I'm sure Loxley will downplay it and say, hey, we got a football game to play. We got to win this game. We're trying to become bowl eligible. That's, we're not really.
And that's it.
We're not really concerned about that. And Kirk will say the same thing. But it would have been funny having Brian on the sideline, yelling and screaming across the sideline at, like, Seth Wallace, one of his good friends.
Just like yelling.
They meet
And if Brian accidentally got confused and went over on the Iowa sideline.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that would be great.
I just like the 11 o'clock kickoff. These night games back. I mean, it's just I don't know. I'm starting to not like night games.
I'm getting there too. I mean, watching them on TV.
That's one
I'm
thing.
fine with it.
That's one, especially if it's not your team.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're long days. Well, I mean, how would you like to be? 10:30 kickoff in the Midwest for USC and UCLA.
Well, I'm also saying this selfishly too. Night games.
9:30.
Night games aren't good for traffic.
No,
they're just
I'm sure not.
Even when they win, people aren't reading the internet at midnight. Well, if they are reading the internet, they're not going for football at midnight.
No, it's a different kind of site.
They're going for a different type of violent sport. You think?
I went to Blue Sky.
I haven't done it yet. I'll do it this week.
I did too. I went looking for you yesterday.
Yeah.
You dropping bombs over there?
Yeah.
Take this, MAGA. Was that your first post?
No. I like animals. I like current.
The album?
The current news. No, not. Well, I like
great
them
album
too. But it says current news from established news sources. And so I clicked that. I clicked on animals.
I'll do it today.
And what else did I click on? Like pop culture.
I think I'm following like 35 people and 30 are following me. It's not. I'm not going to draw big numbers. And
Just start dropping bombs, man. Just start. No holds barred. Just.
I don't know how many I haven't even.
But no, I'm about the last one in the Iowa. But I was probably the last one in the Iowa media to get on Twitter. Most of those guys got on like an 8 or 9. I didn't get on, I don't think, until like 12.
I am following 68, and I've got 76 followers. And one woman that wants to friend me that has gigantic breasts.
I'd say.
Oh, so they're showing up over
there. Yeah, they are, but not the whole breast.
Is MAGA showing up?
Not on my feed.
And not on my feed either.
I was told that there's a way to block anything that says MAGA, that there's a device set up to where if you want to avoid, I would not go to the trouble of that. Just ignore them if they go over. And,
I don't.
If I see something like that, I will absolutely click on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. But no, I'm going to do it. And but I'll stay on Twitter. I mean, it's just another place to place content. That's kind of how I look at it.
And from your standpoint, that makes sense. And for me, there's no point.
Well, plus I'll hang out more on Blue Sky because it's less toxic. The problem with Twitter is it's just a cesspool of just vitriol, and it's just.
I don't really post anything under my personal thing. I post on the.
You take a picture of your dogs and food, or not your animals and food.
But I really don't do that on Twitter.
I tweeted my breakfast from Black Angel yesterday. I had a really good omelet.
Yum.
Yeah.
Man, the omelet was good.
Oh no, their breakfast.
Their omelet was the bolter.
We went to Perkins, and I can say this for the first time, we both just felt like potato pancakes, and I've been disappointed a couple times, but they were great yesterday.
Well, good.
It was.
I remember my mom made potato pancakes for me when I was like 4.
Really
Yeah, they don't interest me.
They were okay. But
Why don't they interest?
could not imagine going out to
I
eat.
mean, what's the difference between potato pancakes and hash browns?
Suter. One's more gooey and icky, and hash browns are much better.
I don't know.
What are potato pancakes made out of?
Potatoes.
Potatoes, but what?
Milk and butter and.
So are they pancakes with a bunch of potatoes in them?
Yeah, it's almost like
basically.
Yeah.
But you don't put salt or syrup on them.
I don't.
If you do them the right way, you would want to put salt on them more than syrup. They don't have the sweet. I remember my mom's that the tops would be crispy on each side, and then there'd be gooey potatoes inside. They were okay. I didn't like them. I would never order them out at a restaurant. That's something.
And they got onions and stuff in them?
Not if you don't want them. No, not. I don't. My mom didn't put onions in hers. But I certainly would. You order that? Is that the first?
Oh, never.
Yeah, no. You got some explaining to do. Why potato pancakes with so many other things you could order?
I like them.
Well, there you go. That's all you need.
I like them.
All right, you're right.
You tell Pat, shut up. I like them.
Yeah, shut
That's
up.
it.
Why don't you just
You're
shut
right.
up?
You're right. I mean, my mom used to make potato pancakes.
Jan made great potato pancakes, and they were crispy on the outside.
And gooey in the middle.
They were not really. They
But
were
more like
thin.
mashed potato in the middle.
They're supposed to be kind of thin, too. They're not.
Yeah, my mom's were thin. They
Yeah.
looked like thin thin pancakes. They were okay if you put enough salt and pepper on them.
Yeah.
But when you agree it's more of a salt thing than a syrup thing, if you do them the right way.
They're not sweet.
No, they're not sweet at all. It's more of salt.
Yeah.
I've had them like once, I think.
Well, not a lot of places offer them, do they?
No, I don't know.
I don't think that seems like a real popular.
I didn't order them out. I was at a friend's house or something when I was a kid, and they were not good.
Okay. But no, this omelet was good. Their omelets are really good, and I've told you before their hash browns are good because they put mint and paprika in them. They just have a very unique taste to it. I've still yet to be there for live music. Have you ever been there for live music?
Just when they were setting up for live music one time.
So where does the band play? Because it's not the biggest place in the world.
Okay, as you walk in the front
And
door,
take a right,
and go all the way.
Okay, so back. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, because it's not the biggest place in the world. But yeah, it was a good breakfast and potato pancakes. I bet you I could make those. Although, probably not though. Because what do you do? Don't you have to boil the potatoes?
Don't ask.
Oh, you have no idea? You're that
I have
you're that detached from what she does?
Steve just likes to eat them.
It's just.
I would imagine though you'd have to boil the potatoes to get them down to where you could, like mashed potatoes almost, wouldn't you?
I don't. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, see, that's where
know.
that's where you
mash
lose me.
them or-
I couldn't do that.
I don't know.
That's too much work.
I don't know.
That's just too much work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Has Ann ever made?
If it's not microwavable. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
you couldn't do that.
No,
Ann has never
I-
made potato pancakes?
No.
Okay.
No.
You know,
this is not something on our radar. It's not something that either of us eat.
You just had it though.
No, I don't get
Everything. Very seriously. Other than meat and potatoes, pepperoni, and sausage, I don't know that food-wise we have anything in common.
Do you like steak?
Yeah.
He likes steak?
Well, I said meat and potatoes.
Oh, meat and potato.
Do you
okay.
like ham and cheese sandwich?
Not really.
I'm not a huge fan of ham and cheese sandwich. I'm not a huge fan of ham, to be honest with you.
Roast beef and cheese?
Yes.
Well, you're not a cheese guy.
I'm not really a cheese
I'm not a huge
guy.
cheese guy either. But are you?
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, I'm not a huge cheese guy.
Huge cheese guy.
I mean, I like Swiss cheese.
You like mayonnaise. He doesn't.
I can eat it. It's just they tend to put too much on it, and then
Well, I don't
nasty.
like it with too much either.
Yeah.
You both like olives. That's the ultimate test.
I like olives.
Yeah.
Well, then
olives
you've got a lot in common then. You both like raisins.
They're okay.
Yeah.
You're kind of the same. Look at how much you guys have in common.
I-
You guys are in a food cult.
I mean, every now and if there is one of those little boxes of raisins on a table, I'll say, yeah, I'll eat those, and I'll eat them all,
Oh God!
and then never I just don't think about them.
As a kid, they made me cry. They were so bad. Raisins.
Raisin Bran, I like.
You didn't like them dancing?
Oh, God, no. I hated. I do remember those commercials.
Oh, I loved those.
No, raisins and sour cream.
Sour cream.
I could do sour cream a little bit.
You get this beautiful taco. You got this beautiful taco, and then all of a sudden they drop a bitch of.
Well,
I don't
see, if you
get
put
that.
a bunch of anything on anything.
But even a tiny amount of sour cream on a taco. And why baked potatoes? Why sour cream on baked potatoes?
I don't know. I've
never understood that one. Have you ever done that?
I don't like sour cream, no.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
I do.
But ironically, though, I can still eat
Butter
Anderson
and salt.
Erickson French onion dip. I can eat that with potato chips like it's going out of style. I love that. I don't eat it much, and that's got sour cream in it. So, I mean, I guess it depends on how it's
Don't
flavored.
like ranch dressing. I know
I'm
that
not a big fan of ranch
flies
dressing.
on the face of logic.
I don't
for
mind
me.
ranch, but I
love ranch.
I wouldn't go out of my way to eat. I would never.
Except, the stuff you get in the bottle or the stuff you get in the kit, where you mix it with buttermilk, it's so much better.
I mean, if it was my only choice, I could. But if I had choices like balsamic vinaigrette or Italian or French, I'd definitely pick that.
Or Caesar.
Or Western. Have you ever had Western?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Western's good.
Did not like
got a little. It's like French with a little spice to it.
Yeah.
So, but
I like ranch and.
We're gonna have
Dorothy Lynch.
We're gonna have a UI athlete. We're gonna have a diver. I guess they have a big tournament coming on, a big event coming on this weekend, and we've already set up. We got an interview at 10:05 on Wednesday. This will be our second diver. And remember the first one? She was the one that had
great.
Did she have 85,000 Instagram followers? Wasn't that her?
Yes.
Yeah, so, but yeah, we'll have that. And it was fun talking to Don about other stuff than just Iowa football today.
The diving's not on our schedule here. But
is it? But yeah, let me see what it is. I was going to say, what'd you have for dinner, but we already know what Captain had.
I had a repeat of my meal the night before, so we went to Mirabito's.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got a Caesar salad, which snarfed down, and 2 meatballs. And I ate one of the meatballs, and it was absolutely delicious, and ate the other one last night.
Oh, the Badara Duakite, he has signed his letter of intent. I remember he committed last week. His letter of intent is in. That's some news. I'll post that when I get home. Okay, let me see.
I had California rolls. You know what those are?
Uh-huh. Amy likes those.
That's what we ate for dinner.
Does that have sushi in it?
Well, it's
yeah,
faux sushi.
Yeah, Amy likes those. I think Ann likes them, kind of.
Yeah, that's all we had last night.
Let's see. Olivia Swally. For your upcoming show on Wednesday, the swimming and diving team is hosting a major meet next weekend.
Okay.
And she's going to be a great athlete to help preview that. Yeah, so we're going to have and if she's as good as the first one we had as far as just interesting interview, it should be fun.
So she's Swally. How I love you.
I assume it's Swalley. Oh, did we mention, or maybe we did Saturday, the Iowa soccer team won 2-1 and now faces Georgetown in L.A. on.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I mean, do we know what day is it? Do you have it written down anywhere?
Oh, probably.
Well, here I can look at the Iowa soccer.
Yes, 6 p.m. Friday.
Okay, and yeah, they beat Missouri State 2-1, so they advanced to the round of 32 and more.
6 p.m. Friday, great.
Yeah, in
LA.
LA.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, swimming and diving 10 a.m. Thursday.
But remember, he's saying next weekend.
But this is
I think
Hawkeye Invitation.
Yeah, he means this weekend. He said that Sunday.
Yeah. So it's there Thursday through Saturday.
Okay, so yeah, we'll have Olivia on at 10:05 on Wednesday.
All right, great.
And we'll still have. Plus, we'll have Tuesday's press conferences to discuss. I mean,
yes.
Kirk's going to say some. I mean, do you think he just comes right out and says Sullivan's out?
I don't know. Might.
I think he will for Saturday, maybe not, because we don't know. Is he going to be? If they're still going to play in a bowl game.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think at 6-6 they'd go to a bowl, don't you?
Yeah, we're bowl eligible. Yes, it would be one that's not very attractive.
But no, it wouldn't surprise me if he comes out from everything I'm hearing, and if you got all these people talking about it and people text me saying he's out, that he comes out and says tomorrow he's not playing, and that it'll be Cade and Jackson Stratton will be their quarterbacks, and then they'll have the other walk-on. What's his name? The kid from the Quad Cities. His name escapes me right now. But that will be the third quarterback they'll have, so they'll have to make do with 3 quarterbacks. But it sounds like McNamara is getting healthier, and I mean I'd be surprised. I'd be stunned if they started a Jackson Stratton over a healthy enough to play Cade McNamara. Wouldn't you?
Yes.
That would stun me. I know some Iowa fans probably would like to see that, but I would be stunned at that.
What about a 75% Cade?
Well, I think that's what he is under any circumstance. I think even when he doesn't have it, I think he's 75% Cade. I just don't,
I mean, okay, 75% of when last
I
seen
still
at
think
the University of Iowa.
I still think they would start Cade. Because, Tom, we're talking about
probably
talking about a guy who was playing linebacker 3 weeks ago.
No, I agree with you.
I mean, if Jackson Stratton had came in here and lit the fire and just, oh, my God, look at this, don't you think they would have kept him at quarterback?
Yes. Absolutely.
And people accuse me of making this up. I'm not the only one saying that he was practicing. It was said on TV during the game. Then they acknowledged it afterwards. And you said you've seen it, and I've seen it in other stories.
For sure.
Well, there's a faction of people that say that that's not true, that he wasn't playing linebacker. He was.
Yeah, he was.
He was. And that, to me, I find that peculiar if he was such a good thrower and if they were having such bad performances at quarterback, which they haven't had a really good performance at quarterback all year. I mean, Sullivan had his moments in the win over Northwestern
had his moments.
and Wisconsin. He was okay. Cade had his moments against Troy and Minnesota. Okay, at the best.
Second half at Minnesota,
He was okay.
He was good.
But they haven't had any game this year where the quarterback played good from start to finish. They just haven't.
No.
Iowa and Michigan have arguably – Iowa, Michigan, and even Purdue, of course, have probably had – well, I guess you could throw Northwestern in there too. The worst quarterback play in the Big Ten. Those 4 teams probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know anyone going to the Maryland game? Just going? Friends? Anyone just going to the game to go?
No.
I don't either. Now, I don't know. You have more friends on the West Coast, don't you, than the East Coast? I don't know anyone.
I have family on the West Coast. I really don't know anybody on the East Coast.
I don't really know. I know some people on the East Coast, but just not in the Maryland
My
area.
brother-in-law, Mark and Lynn, they live in Connecticut 6 months out of the year.
Okay, and that's not,
but that's all.
And that's not close to Maryland.
No, and I know one other guy that lives out there, but I don't know a lot of people on the East Coast.
Okay.
Do not. So, so were you able to watch the women yesterday?
I monitored it. I watched part of it on the internet, and then I kept monitoring the stat line and listened on the radio because I wrote as the game went on.
Oh,
I was
okay.
writing. I mean, I posted a story. I had a story basically written when it ended, and then I just waited to get quotes from. It was weird. They interviewed Jan, of course, and they interviewed Hannah Stolke. But in the time I was listening to the postgame, they didn't interview Addie O'Grady. Would like to have gotten a quote from her. But Jan said some really good stuff, and Stolke said, you know, we kept feeding it into her, and she kept making it, so we just kept doing it again. That was Stolke's really amazing at breaking things down to their simplest form, which is basically what it was. I mean. It was just Drake made that early run, but Iowa was they're a better team. They beat
I don't
Drake
think Hannah they had that Miller went 1 for 17, and she's
17.
never going to do that again.
No,
never.
Yeah, and that was, and some of that was Addie's size. I mean, Addie's size disrupted them. Addie's 6'4", and I went back and looked. ESPN had her ranked 92 nationally her senior year. She was a top 100 recruit.
She was,
and she's just had to bide her time. But now they lead her. And no, I'm not ready to say
she's delivering.
Oh yeah, I'm not ready to say she's Monica Cesano yet because most Big Ten teams aren't going to give her wide open layups like Drake did all night last night. They're just not going to do that. They're going to make some adjustments. But Addie's also shown if you leave her open, she can make that 8 to 12-foot jump shot pretty much anywhere around the basket. So yeah, she's been the one pleasant surprise. Now I looked yesterday. Kylie Fearback's got to play better. Now they a lot of you realize in the fourth quarter they had 3 starters and Tegan Nalini all on the bench with 4 fouls.
Yeah.
For a start of the fourth quarter. But they overcame that. Nobody fouled out, but they had a lot of foul problems. And Kylie was in foul trouble, but Kylie is going to bring defense every night. She can't. What did she have, 3 points?
I think she had 3 points, and she had a number of steals. Yes,
she's going to always
Jim.
do that for you, but she needs to get them more points.
Line 1, Steve.
Okay. Hello.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Pat. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I just called to tell you that my daughter's going to the game Saturday.
Oh, she is?
Yeah, she lives in Chicago, and she has a good friend that lives out there that's also an Iowa grad, so they're meeting up and going.
Well, there's 2.
Oh, okay.
There's a couple people.
All right. Time to cheer hard.
Good to know.
Yeah, so there will be a couple fans there.
All right.
All right, good.
All right, talk to you later.
Thanks for the call.
That's good to know. Now
Yeah.
you think her daughter will be booing if the offense goes 3 and out? Put in Stratton
with his boot.
No, Stratton.
No, Sullivan.
Sullivan with his boot. My guess is, I wonder if Sullivan even makes the trip if he's not.
Gosh, I wouldn't think so. Cade didn't make the trip to
No, he didn't.
UCLA or whatever it was.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I do think Iowa's going to win, though. I'm pretty confident. I just don't think they're going to lose to this Maryland team.
Well, if we don't, it's going to be an ugly week.
Oh, going into Nebraska, and they got their own problems.
Well, Nebraska's got plenty of problems.
Yeah, I mean there's a good chance. Well, I think they're gonna beat Wisconsin at home, don't you?
Boy, I don't know. Depends which Wisconsin shows
True.
up, I guess.
You know, though, watching that game last night or Saturday, I never thought Wisconsin was gonna win.
I was at Theater Cedar Rapids, so I didn't get to watch it.
I just never thought they were gonna win, and that held true because I just figured Oregon was gonna find a way to do it because they were a better team.
Now, if you guys recall, I said what's going to happen. I said Wisconsin's going to score first. They're going to be in that game until the fourth quarter, and then they're going to give it up.
Well, they were in the game because Oregon could not convert in the red zone.
Yeah.
They just couldn't. And, give credit to Wisconsin's defense, but Wisconsin's offense, their quarterback play is just not there.
No, Braden Locke's got a few.
And the guy from
issues.
Miami, I think he was, of course, better, but I don't think he was going to light the world on fire either.
Van Dyke?
Yeah. Wisconsin's kind of similar to Iowa, wouldn't you? I mean, we always say they're similar, but I think right now they're really similar, the way they are. But Iowa's offensive line is much better. Wisconsin's offensive line is not very good.
No, they're not.
What do you think Barry thinks?
I think Barry is beside himself.
He's probably disgusted.
Yeah.
But he's not walking. Barry's too old. He's not walking through that door, I don't think, anymore to save Wisconsin football again.
No, he's in his 70s.
He's got to be, yes. But doesn't that make you appreciate even more what he did? I know we don't.
I don't appreciate what he did.
Well, you don't, but you have to respect.
I admire what he did.
Yeah, admire. Yeah, you're right. No, I can see that because, Barry poached the Iowa staff.
No, I don't.
And Hayden wasn't happy
at all.
I mean, Barry could have hired a lot of different people, but he went after Hayden's. And you can't fault Dan McCarney for taking a promotion. I get that. Bernie Wyatt's position was a little different. I thought that one surprised me because that was a lateral move, wasn't it?
It was a lateral move. Yeah.
And it helped build that power program into a better program than Iowa. That's what you resented, isn't it?
Of course.
And I say fair enough as a fan.
I think he stayed here. He played for Iowa, coached for Iowa,
and then moved back here the moment he retired.
Yes, which also kind of pissed me off.
Now, he has since passed away, so God rest his soul.
Sorry to hear that.
I used to see Bernie a lot in the Hy-Vee aisles at Hy-Vee, and I'd always see him in the frozen section for some reason. He seemed fascinated with the frozen section.
Or he was hot.
Maybe he was hot.
Maybe.
He'd give me a nod. He didn't give me much more than that. He knew who I was a little bit. I think he recognized me. I don't know if because he was my brother's position coach 6 years ago. But yeah, Bernie, I'll tell you what, though, he could recruit.
He was a heck of a coach.
God, could he? Well, he was a better. I think he was a better
recruiter.
Better recruiter than coach.
Yeah.
This guy followed me around Hy-Vee yesterday. It's just weird. Don't know him.
Because of your celebrity status, or he just picked you out?
No, he knew who I was, but I mean,
how do you know who?
I had the KCJJ logo.
Would you have like, hi, I'm Steve Soboroff from KCJJ hat?
No.
Quit following me.
No.
All right, one game we have not talked about for this weekend at all. Penn State at Minnesota. I think that could be interesting.
I don't know why I thought Minnesota was who Illinois played. That could be interesting, yes, because I still think Penn State is a questionable. What are they? 9-1 now? 10-1?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I would pick Penn State to win that game.
Probably.
I think it'll be sort of like when Iowa going up there, but we'll see. I mean, because Minnesota lost at Illinois earlier this season, didn't they?
I believe
that's what I was getting mixed up. I think Brett has beat both Minnesota and Michigan State both at home this year. But no, that could be an interesting game. Is it at night?
Yeah, I believe so. What, we're talking Minnesota?
Yeah, and Captain, what's the weather like?
No, 2:30.
I'm curious, what's the weather like for Saturday here?
Upper 30s, partly sunny, upper 30s.
I mean, think about. We can't obviously go far enough ahead to know what it's going to be like for Black Friday, but it's going to
not yet.
But don't you think it's going to probably be cold?
It's probably going to be cold.
Yeah,
but
it's the end of November.
I know, and it's a night game.
Yeah, it's going to be cold. Could it be dark?
It could be. I mean, it could be. The weather could be the main storyline in that game. We just don't know.
It could
I
be.
mean, if it's 19 degrees and snowing, and it's gonna impact that game. I think that'll hurt Nebraska more than Iowa. Look at that, I'm getting way ahead. We're already breaking down the weather for the Nebraska game. They haven't played at Maryland yet.
Well, you'll be in a heated press box, so you'll be okay.
Yes. Yeah. And when you went to Maryland, did you eat crab cakes?
No.
He won't eat seafood.
I ate a crab cake. They're gross. I had one right at this restaurant right on the ocean. It was fresh, and I just tried it. I went out there for the Iowa men's basketball game when Licklider played out there, and I tried it. Oh, my God.
I love crab cakes.
Oh, God, they were nasty.
No, I think Ann and my sister and brother-in-law had crab cakes when we were.
Did you like them?
No, I don't eat them.
Oh, yeah, no, they
I love
nasty.
them. Ann likes them.
Nasty.
Yeah, and they got good crab and they got crab and shrimp cakes at Monica's, and they're delicious. Absolutely delicious. Get them in a Caesar salad.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. God damn it.
I get the meatloaf or there's so many other things.
Oh, the meatloaf is good.
There's so many other things that I would order before crab cakes.
Meatloaf is.
I would say the crab cakes would, if not at the bottom of the 95 choices, it would be
right there for me.
5.
It'd be right there next to fettuccine Alfredo. Right next to fettuccine Alfredo.
You don't like Alfredo?
Oh God, no.
I don't ever order it,
No.
but
Ooh.
it's basically mac cheese.
No, it's not, because I love mac cheese. There's a big difference. That when it goes white, man, that just. Ugh.
So you don't like the white cheese sauce?
Oh God, no. It's bad.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bad, Captain.
Harsh.
I like their spaghetti.
I like their spaghetti.
Spaghetti's very good.
Yeah.
I made spaghetti last night.
Pizza's very good.
Pizza's really good. Damn good.
Oh, yeah, their
French
pizza's good.
dip's really good.
French dip is good.
Caesar salads.
Hamburgers are some of the best.
Did you see Subway's coming up with a French dip?
Really?
But it's not here yet. I asked them at the one by where Hy-Vee up there, and they said they haven't got it yet.
Do you know something? I don't know what it is, but I'm appreciating Subway more and more. I think it's.
I think it's better than Jimmy John's.
It's better than Jimmy John's.
I'm not ready to say that, but I go there more.
Better than Firehouse.
I will say I'm not ready to say that either, but I go there more for some reason because it's convenient. They do have a $6.99 deal now that's really good. A 6-inch drink and either 2 cookies and chips. $7. That's a good deal.
It is a good deal.
Yeah.
Getting back to salad dressing, Gino's. Gino's in Des Moines. Gino's creamy garlic house dressing was the best.
Very good. I've been there. Yep, very, very good.
I would like that.
It's very good.
Yeah,
it is very good. Yep.
They bottle it.
Yeah, you can. I think you can get it at Hy-Vee. I know you can get some Gino's. You can get marinara and spicy marinara. I think I've
seen it at Bread Garden.
Yeah, I think there's that other Gino's from Chicago too, so you kind of have to be careful.
I think that's the one that Hy-Vee has is the Gino's out, but their spicy marinara is really good, really good. All right, now I'm hungry.
All right, yes.
Now I'm really hungry.
It's all his fault for bringing it back.
Aren't you hungry?
Yes.
See, I haven't had. I didn't eat breakfast. So
I had a piece of toast, which isn't a farm breakfast, but it's something.
I take this drug. It says take it with food. So I had one of Jan's Pepperidge Farm cookies.
What kind?
The Milano.
Those are real good.
The one with the nuts on them?
No, that's the macadamia.
I'm talking about the ones that got the chocolate way. They're a cracker and then chocolate syrup and then those ones. Those are my favorite.
Pepperidge Farm, all their cookies.
They're really good.
They are real
ain't
good.
cheap.
Yeah, no, it's like $4 for a cookie.
Yeah, no, they're really because the packs only come in like packs of 9 or 10 in it.
Yeah.
But no, they're really good.
Yeah,
they're good. All right, we got to end this. I got to go eat. Thanks again to Coach P for coming on. Fun. Hopefully, again, we're talking about a win over Maryland a week from now, which I
hope so.
That the Iowa women play Kansas on Wednesday.
The men play Ryder
tomorrow night.
Uh-huh.
And then, yes, and then Fran has a presser, I believe, on Thursday. And the women play, that's in Sioux Falls, right, Wednesday?
Yes.
Yes, and I don't know anything about Kansas. I'll start looking at it.
I think they're pretty good.
Okay.
It'll be a good test.
It'll be a good test.
Because we're pretty good, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yes, thanks, Coach P. We will be back shortly. Hawk Fanatic, check it out. It's free. Molly Suter is next.
KCJJ Weather, brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply, kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so